Parts are in, and that means we're finally going down the street. Yeah. What is going on, my car people? So, dude, you guys, today is the day. I got a good feeling. It's about 12 or 1 o'clock or so, and this truck right behind me is going down the street. In theory, at least. So, I got parts, I got the willpower, I got the tools, I got the time. Let's get it done. Here we are, guys. Here's our parts to get this thing going down the street and finishing up this list. So far I have a brake master cylinder that I got for $69.91. Transmission lines and fittings and clamps were all $42.91, and then this plug for the cylinder head was $4. I'm not exactly counting the compound within the pricing on the list, but we spent $120.26 so far. And I mean, dude, I wish that all your guys' projects would just cost $120 to be able to just drive down the road. Can you imagine that? So today, dude, great progress, spending very little money. We are going down that street. So let's get to work. Woo! As you guys will remember, I did Vortex cylinder heads on this small block a couple years back. I never had any video of it, but here we are working on the Vortex cylinder heads because every time I put water in this thing, it runs out of this hole over here where the temperature sensor used to be. So I got a plug for it. So it's an M16 by 1.5 thread pitch plug, and it's gonna go in right here. I already test fitted it, made sure that it goes all the way in. So now I'm gonna do some Teflon paste or Teflon compound. It's a little bit of a reach. That's one. Now to do the driver's side. So this is the one that I matched up at Ace Hardware to get the other side plug. So get some compound on there. It's going to be sort of a mess. It'll be worth it in the end as long as it holds water. This one's going to take some time. Going to 8th turn all the way into the cylinder head. Doesn't that drive you bonkers when they, like, one of the very last things you got to do, except not in this case, is something that you got to take 8th turns or like 16th of a turn. It takes you 45 minutes to get in. Everybody's been there, right? Next thing I want to do is I want to change out this master cylinder on my C30 because I have no brakes at all. They just go to the floor, they stay there, they don't pump up. So I'm pretty sure that the seal that is inside this master cylinder is gone. So all you need is a 9/16 wrench. Gonna do these two hard lines right here, those two nuts on the back, and hopefully they don't break. So here we go, going in. Little bit of persuasion. Gonna do the hard lines first. Come on, baby. Please don't break. All right. Please don't break. Oh, yes. There we go. Okay, get the next one. Come on. Doesn't want to spin. Yes, sweet. These two hard lines were what I feared the most, so that is great success. Now on to the nuts on the back. Oh, yes. When in doubt, double wrench. Yeah. Totally worth smashing my air cleaner on that. Yes. Gonna make a mess, but all worth it. There we go. Let's try to take the hard lines with it. There's this bar down here that's connected to the firewall that helps like support everything, because I guess it's a little bit on the heavy side. So I'm just trying to pull that off right now. There we go. There we go. Sweet. Move that over to the side. It's out. Awesome. Out with the old and in with the new. Here's our brand new master cylinder. So I just filled it up with fluid, and what we need to do is we need to bench bleed it. So what the instructions say is that I need to take this piston and work it back and forth, but as you're going through, it's going to be pushing out fluid from the outside of these ports right here. And then once you have no more bubbles, then we can cap them off with the hardware that came in with the box, and then we can put it back on the truck. Still has bubbles. Welcome to the underside of my truck. So I need to do these transmission lines. So as you can see, there's the starter, then there's the right side or the passenger side of the transmission, and there are these two fittings right there. They are for the transmission cooler that's on the radiator. So one is going there and then one's recirculating back. And so I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to film this. I think maybe right here would work. Let's see. So these fittings that I'm putting back into the transmission, I had done a couple years ago because I went to take my truck down the street and my hard lines that went to the transmission cooler were broken. So all I did was I bought these fittings and then I looped this one fitting to the other fitting. So the transmission wouldn't leak any oil, but it wasn't getting cooled. But that was all right because I only went from the side of the shop to inside the shop. So I wasn't worried about it getting overheated or anything. So as I'm using this wrench, it made me think of like when I got this set. And I remember my dad for Christmas one year, probably about 10, 15 years ago, bought me this set. And I haven't used them much because I've only been working on like import stuff, which is like in millimeters, right? And this is a standard set. So, dude, thank you, Dad. Now I'm going to install the transmission lines onto the fittings. And so one of the tricks that I like to do is take a pair of needle nose. Hopefully you guys can see this. Put it down the hose like that, and then stretch it out. But I'm gonna have to do it off camera because it's pretty cramped under here, as you can tell. So you just take it, like I said, put it in the hole, and then working back and forth, because this is brand new hose and it is pretty hard to get on there, which is actually a good thing because that it means it's definitely not gonna leak. In theory, right? All right. See if we can get that on there better now. Now I'm starting to work on the second line. So I got it threaded through the engine mount and all the way back to the transmission. And I just learned that this fitting is the inlet to the radiator and it goes on the bottom portion of the radiator. Then the return line comes from the top portion of the radiator all the way back to this top fitting right here. As I tighten down this clamp for the transmission line, wanted to let you guys know, of course, I have been flex sealing my radiator, right? And I went to go, before I even started all this, and put water in it, and I found out I have like 2 more holes. So as I'm doing this, I have more Flex Seal on it, and hopefully it will hold water so we can go down the street. Because that is good times right there. Transmission lines are done, so they're different lengths. I'm gonna definitely cut off the excess, but this is our top radiator hose that's gonna go right here, and then this one's gonna be our bottom right here. But as I said in the last clip, this radiator over here, of course I found some new holes, which here's a new one, and then I went over the existing holes with some more Flex Seal, so hopefully that will do the job. So I'm going to focus on getting this master cylinder back on the truck. Finally gonna have brakes. master cylinder, all bench bled and going back on. Oh, come on, you're almost there. So I just got this bracket put back on. So this bracket attaches to the firewall. I had to loosen it up from there to get it onto this stud. But now I'm starting to get the nuts on, then get the lines on. Getting the last nut on for the master cylinder side. Then I'm gonna thread in the hard lines. And hopefully this thing's bench bled good enough to where the brakes will work and I don't have to bleed the calipers and the wheel cylinders, because those are pretty old. And I can see myself breaking things off those calipers and those wheel cylinders to bleed them. So hopefully I just put all this on and it'll just work. Moment of truth, guys. Let's see if we have some brakes. Cool, it's building up pressure. Dude, that's gotta be brakes. At least good enough for burnouts down the street, right? All right, let's look at the list, guys. So we're getting real close. Check diff fluid, check. Transmission lines, I got them hooked up from the transmission. I just gotta get the radiator in. And then check diff fluid. I have to get the truck started before I can check that and add some more. Grease ball joints and grease U-joints. Did all that, check. Got the plugs, the freeze plugs for each side of the cylinder on. Master cylinder, check. And then radiator leak. So that's the only thing that's making me a little bit nervous, is that I gotta get the radiator in. But of course, I'm flex sealing it as we speak. So I'm gonna go and move this trailer out of the way, move my hatch out of the way, the Falcon, move all that stuff out of the way as I'm waiting for that to dry up so it has the best chance of holding water. So then I can get the radiator in, transmission lines on, all the hoses, mounts, everything. And then, dude, we'll be going down the street. Everything's out of the way. All we gotta do is see if this radiator holds water. Fingers crossed. All right, moment of truth. Let's see if it holds water. Okay. The only hole right now, and I got this completely full, is right there. But one hole is not going to stop us from going down the street. Alrighty, time to put the radiator back in. Be super careful with this, because it seems like every time I mess with it, it gets a new hole, and that's not good. Getting the bottom radiator hose put on now. Trying to do this somewhat fast because the sun's setting right now, and I really want to drive this tonight. And so far, we only have one leak, which is that small little leak on the radiator, and that will be all right, I would say. We're gonna find out. Man, I just love old vehicles, man. They're just so easy to work on. Now I'm cutting the upper trans line. I already have the fittings in it. Man, this is gonna be so awesome. I have not driven this truck in so long. It's gonna be well worth the wait, well worth the $120 spent. Awesome, guys. We got the upper radiator hose, the lower radiator hose, the transmission lines, this upper hose for the intake manifold. Dude, I think this thing's ready for some water. Put the battery on. We can take this thing down the street. This is kind of an epic moment. All right, guys, this is it. So I'm gonna add water to this thing and then start it up, then put some transmission fluid because I know it's a little bit low, and then we're driving this thing out of the shop. And it's just getting to where it's like dark right now. Wow. This is crazy. Just pouring out of the bottom. It's pouring out some from that hole, out of this one, out of the center one, out of a new hole. All right, guys, so I've sat here for just a second or so, and dude, you know what? This thing holds a whole lot of water, so we're just gonna go for it. Try it one more time. Am I not getting spark? So I figured out what the problem is. There's this wire that comes off this harness right here. I was messing with this power cable when I was connecting the connection back up on the starter, and this fell off. So now I should have spark no problem. All right, should start no problem now. Oh, what? Come on. And it's not one thing, it's another. Hey guys, so it's about a week later, and that is not a big surprise to me, because the one thing that I promised you guys is that this thing was going to go on the street and do one-legged burnouts, and the only thing that failed me is, of course, this radiator. So you guys saw that I flex sealed, I mean, just the absolute crud out of it, and the more I move it around, like inside the shop, like out of the truck, on the side of the shop, back in, it's like it's just so fragile on the inside of the cores that it just keeps on developing more and more holes. So it's like a waterfall underneath this radiator. So I'm not going to trust it, you know, going down the road or even doing a burnout in the shop. I even thought about just backing it up right here and just laying down some rubber, right? Which would be very fun. But I really don't want to do head gaskets, and because I have brand new head gaskets on this thing. So this is where I'm going to end it off. But so here's the thing. I have a brand new master cylinder on it. I have transmission lines. It's so close to being able to go down the street and back. And so I'm gonna save up a little bit of money and either get the radiator record or get a new one, and that's at least 250 bucks or something like that. But like, that's the major thing. But while I'm saving up, I'm gonna take the gas tank out. I'm gonna be doing just a bunch of little free little things to make this thing just so much better. So thank you guys for watching, doing everything that you do on the YouTubes, liking, subscribing, and man, I totally forgot. I finally, only took like 7+ years to hit 300 subscribers, guys. So thank you so much for all that you guys do. it keeps me pumped, wanting to do this and everything. And I'll see you guys in the next video. I promise. See ya.